We are reading through the Gospels in 2024. All four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We're doing it at a pretty slow pace, just 2 chapters a week, so plenty of time to accomplish that, plenty of time to reflect on those words as well. So we invite you to join us. We have reading schedules available in our church library and online, or just read 2 chapters a week, and you'll be right on pace with the rest of the group. We are reading through Matthew's Gospel for starters. Last week we kicked it off with chapters 1 and 2. This week, chapters 3 and 4. If I was to identify a theme for chapters 3 and 4, it would be identity. Who is God? Who is Jesus in particular? So you see Jesus' baptism. Jesus' baptism in the Jordan River, and there is one of the places where we most clearly in the scriptures see the Trinity. One God, one true God, but 3 persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so there, as Jesus is standing in the waters of the Jordan River, having been baptized by John, we see the Son of God, God the Son. There's Jesus right there in the flesh, God incarnate. And then we hear God the Father, that voice from heaven, "This is my beloved Son." And then we also see at least a manifestation of the Holy Spirit as the Spirit descends in the form of a dove. Not that the Holy Spirit is always a dove, but in this case descends in that visible form. And so here we see at Jesus' baptism, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Hold on to that, because at the end of Matthew's Gospel is one of the clearest places where, again, we hear of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, as Jesus gives us the Great Commission. But that won't be until chapter 28. What happens immediately after that is Jesus in chapter 4 of Matthew goes into the wilderness. He's tempted by Satan. And again, it's about Jesus' identity. Satan 3 times tempts Jesus. Those first 2 times he says, "If you are the Son of God, well, then turn these stones into bread. If you are the Son of God, well, then jump down from the temple, and the angels will keep you safe." So again, calling Jesus' identity into question. If you are the Son of God. And Jesus remains faithful because he is the Son of God. He does what Israel couldn't do during those 40 years in the wilderness. During his 40 days in the wilderness, he remains faithful. And then we get to the end again of Matthew's Gospel, and we see there at the cross that, again, Jesus' identity in Matthew 27 is called into question, where people mock him and say, "If you are the Son of God, well, then come down off the cross." And he doesn't, exactly because he is the Son of God. This is why he's come. This is all part of God's plan, his plan of great, great love for you, that Jesus would stay on the cross and would give up his life because he's that obedient Son to the Father. And then finally, after Jesus' death, then you hear in the Gospel of Matthew, the centurion and those around him saying, "Surely this man was the Son of God." That even the very people that may have been involved in putting him to death and nailing him to the cross and overseeing that, realize after all they've seen and heard there at the crucifixion, this man is the Son of God. So Jesus' identity, a theme throughout Matthew, but I think one that we especially see here in chapters 3 and 4. As you read on, next week we get into the Sermon on the Mount, as Jesus reveals again more who he is, who God is, what his will is for our lives, as we hear that famous sermon. God's blessings as you continue your study of God.